Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. It is Tuesday morning and we are getting started with Exodus. So we've completed Genesis and now we're moving on to Exodus. And as I mentioned yesterday, that it is so cool to me that Exodus has 40 chapters. I love that because they spent 40 years in the wilderness. But we're not going to go all the way through it in one day. Nope. We are starting with Exodus chapter 1. And so here we go. So it begins with, chapter 1 begins with the sons of Jacob that were born to his household. And with that, we are told that Joseph himself has 70 children or 70 people born to Jacob. And then we discover that Joseph is still in Egypt in the sense that his family is in Egypt. And the people continue to be prolific and fruitful, is what our scripture tells us. And they continued to grow in the land. But then in verse 8, we are told, now a new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. So here's where everything starts changing and turning. So he is unaware of who Joseph is or was and what he did. And therefore, he begins to see the Israelite people as a threat to his throne or to his kingdom, so to speak. And so what he says is we should deal shrewdly with them and be sure that they don't have an opportunity to create rebellion, to join in war. He's like, we've got to keep these people in their place, so to speak, so they don't try to overcome. And what happens is he puts taskmasters over them and he begins to enslave the Israelite people. Now, if we remember back in Genesis, remember, Joseph started technically enslaving the Egyptian people because he took their land in the time of the famine and made them work the land and give a percentage to the Pharaoh. And what's happening in turn is now this new Pharaoh is doing that same thing with the Israelite people. He's making sure that they don't have an ability to protest him or to come against him. But what happens is that they are still able to thrive under these harsh circumstances. And that's where I really get kind of my devotion for this morning is that when we trust in God, when we trust in the promises of God, we can still thrive under harsh circumstances. And that's what the Israelite people do. They continue to thrive. Now, in the midst of them thriving, the Pharaoh says, okay, we got to be done with this. So he takes the head midwives of the Israelite people and he says, if a boy is born, you're going to kill it. And if a girl survives, you can let her live. Like if a girl is born, you can let her live. And, but the midwives we're told, feared God. So they still believed in God, the promises of God, all that was going on. And so they didn't kill the boys. And so the Pharaoh calls them back and says, why aren't you killing these boys? And of course, they have a great response. Well, the Israelite women are so much stronger than your Egyptian women. They can have these kids without us being there, so we don't have a chance to kill them. And in turn, the Pharaoh then says, well, then if it's a boy, throw him in the Nile. And if it's a girl, you can keep her. But you've got to start getting rid of these boys. And that's kind of where the chapter ends, is you've got to start killing these kids because he's in fear of what might happen. But like I mentioned a minute ago, what I get out of this chapter is that no matter how hard life is getting, if you are connected to God, if you are in this relationship with God, you can still survive. You can still actually even thrive under harsh conditions because your trust is in something bigger and better than you, yourself, or your circumstances, or what's going on in the world right now. You're part of something so much bigger. And we see that even though the Israelites are not quite living into what they're supposed to yet, they're able to thrive in this moment. And so I invite you to take time to look at and reflect on your own life right now. Where are you thriving? Don't look at where you're not thriving, but where are you thriving? Or where could you start thriving, trusting in something bigger and better than what's going on around you right now? And if we all took time to really look at it, I think we would find that God's really offering a place for each of us to thrive during this time. And I hope you can take time to find that today. So, thanks for joining me for this morning's Hope, Faith, and Joy daily devotion, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.